All right, so we have one more that we're gonna do together as a class, and this one really actually is a lot more involved. There's some measuring. So this was probably the most complex. This one's going to be geometric in nature. I'm going to start by just drawing with my ruler a line going across my rectangle. Now it can be straight. I like to have it diagonal because that kind of just livens it up a little bit, but it makes a little bit more complicated when we start drawing lines that are perpendicular and stuff like that. So if you'd much rather have it just straight, then do it straight. So my next thing is I need to draw a line that's perpendicular. Perpendicular means there's 90 degrees in all quadrants. Now how I do that is I align since I have a clear ruler, I'm going to try to zoom in on this as best I can. I'm going to try to align a line on my clear ruler to my line that I drew. So they're both going in the same direction, they're aligned. So then when I draw that line, it is completely perpendicular. Now it's a little weird because it's rotated, but if we actually do it like that, it's perfectly 90 degrees, okay? So again, line your line on your ruler to the line that you drew and draw a line. All right, so the next step, we are going to do a little bit of measuring. Now we can do centimeters. So that's the other side of we're used to using inches, but we can use centimeters. And the reason why I like centimeters is the spacing of them. So I'm going to align my 0 to my middle line here, and I'm going to make a mark every centimeter. Now if you have a bigger paper, you would obviously spread this out and make maybe a mark every ½ inch. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I might rotate my paper and do it. Again, I'm going to align my 0 line to my center and then make marks every centimeter. Okay. Now I have that for that, but I do not need it for this line. So I'm not going to put marks on that line. That line is going to be, I'm going to kind of eyeball it, okay? All right, so I'm going to focus on the bottom first. Now this line is straight up and down, right? The next line I'm going to curve just a little bit. I'm going to have it's not going to be straight parallel with that line. It's going to angle out away from that line just slightly. Now the next one, I'm going to angle out a little bit more. So every line that I draw is going to angle out just a little bit more. So as if these lines are spreading out. So something like that. So these lines should be further apart than these over here. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, but in the opposite direction. All right, so what we'll have here, it kind of looks like, if I'm going to rotate it, it looks like this is a wall, and then this is like floorboards coming out at us. Cool, cool. All right, I'm going to flip it upside down, and I'm going to do the same exact thing that I just did. So I'm going to align my ruler, I'm going to slide it and rotate it just slightly. All right, I'm going to do the same thing over here. These are rotating in the opposite direction of the other ones. So they're going away from the middle point. All right, so since these lines are getting closer together here or spreading out, it kind of looks like this is a recessed area, almost like this is a corner of where the floor connects to the wall, okay? Now, to make this one more effective, checkered design is actually awesome. So we're going to figure out how to do that. I'm going to rotate my paper this way now. Spread it out just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to start with this section and then we'll move to this section. I'm going to put my ruler pretty close to that first line that I drew. I'm going to draw a line. Now the next line that I draw is going to be a little bit more spread out. So here this is pretty close. This one's going to be a little bit more spread out. Now the next one is going to be a little bit further away. So I'm gradually getting further and further away, making my squares a little bit bigger every single time I draw. All right, so these should look much bigger than those. These should look kind of smushed. I'm going to do the same thing over here. All right, so this one is very close to that first line. Next one is going to be a little bit further out. Further, further, and this will probably just be a little bit of a triangle. Okay, so using a fatter Sharpie, I'm going to fill in every other one to make a checkered design. So I'm switching my Sharpie to fine point. Okay, I'm halfway done with filling in my squares. I'm going to continue on and see what it looks like and how effective it is with all my squares colored in. Okay, so I have finished filling in all my different squares, and so you can see how it looks like it is going into this area or coming out. I did the coloring very quickly. So there are the 4 different optical illusions.